everyone, welcome to the Book Over, our little book club where we talk about books, especially the ones that give us book hangovers. I'm Sarah, with me is Megan.
Hey.
And today we are talking about Church. It's the first book in The Boys of Chapel Crest by, oh my gosh, KG.
How do we pronounce?
I don't know how we pronounce it, so I don't want to butcher her name.
Should we spell it?
Reese?
K.
Reuss. Sorry, we don't know how to pronounce it.
No.
We will ask her.
We will. That's yes.
Yes.
But so good. It's funny, guys. I recommended it to Sarah, thinking I had been. I don't even know this book. Like I think like halfway through, I was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna love this book. You're gonna love this book. I knew it was for her, and then I thought I had finished it, and I didn't. And so she finished it before me, and it was just funny to have the like tables turn where she like knew the ending and I didn't. She's like, you have to read the end.
It was so hard. It was so hard not to talk about the ending of this book.
I was like,
I'm like
I didn't
so
read
ready to say it, and you're like, I didn't read it. No. Such a good one, and we're going to wait to talk about that ending.
Yes,
we're not going to jump to the ending. I'm going to refrain from it. So spoiler alert, we're talking about the book. We're really excited about this book. It's different. Like, it's a dark bully romance.
Reverse harem. But it's like bully, but like
I feel like it's light bully. I feel like it was very light.
But like what I like is they start out, they care. She's not the enemy. Like, it's not like, oh, we hate her for some like reason and we're gonna like bring her down just to bring her down. It's like they have issues and they're like testing her, but they care. They're instantly infatuated with her. And they're still protective. It's like a good balance between like protective, but like needing to push her to like what works for them. Because they're like dark and twisted. It's a very good dark, like I feel like I struggle sometimes with bully romances of this now, and not with this one. This one was like,
no, I have to say this one though, it's been a long time since I've felt the feelings I felt and like actually like got teary-eyed just thinking for being like sad for a character. Does that make sense? Like, there's times where I read it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's unfortunate, or that's sad, or like that wasn't nice, but I can just like brush it off. Like, I know it is, but I'm not actually getting tears in my eyes, from it. And this book, like, so Serena, our main character, her story and the way so many people treat her really got to me. Like, really, I was like, whoa. And then hearing these other characters' stories too, as they like open up and tell their behind stories. I mean, it's just still like so sad to just think of. No wonder these characters, are where they're at this school, needing that extra help, act the way that they act because they have these horrible things that have happened to them. So like, I feel like that's really good because it's been a really long time since I've like actually like wanted to cry for a fictional character and not been told to cry. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you felt for the character. Like, she did such a good job writing them, and the way that she presented it wasn't like, here's all the information up front. Like, she told the story, especially of like the main character. Like, we don't even meet the guys until like, how many chapters in? Like, we get, before she goes off to the school, we get Serena or Heaven's home life, which is like, first you get what happened when she was 10 to make her become mute with her.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Can we talk about the beginning?
The beginning, that's the beginning to suck you in.
That sucked me in.
And there's something that some books can do, like, let's do like a really crazy sex scene first and suck people in and tell them what kind of book it's going to be, and it works. Some books, try to do it and it doesn't work. This book told us a story of two children, and like it sucks you in. It sucked you in with story.
So good, because it starts out with them like you get this background knowledge of their best friends, live near each other. She knows that he's been a little off since his dad left. She's trying, she can tell his moods change, and she's trying to like, she'll like notice something and she's like, oh, let's change it. Like she gives that, like Serena is giving this good background in her POV of their relationship. And you can see when things start turning bad by just like Seth, her best friend's mannerisms. And then how like he pauses and she's like, doesn't she know then that he kind of talks to others that aren't there? Like, I think she says that,
She's
and so you're just like,
the voices. Yeah. And it's an asylum. So you're thinking, okay, like, I'm thinking this is going to be a love interest later in life, and we're getting some kind of like, and then like, and there's their pet rat that they share together, and they're talking about his bad home life with his, I think, stepfather, and then like her father leaving. So yeah, so you don't,
and that's sad too. Like I feel for
is.
Seth, like the things that he's having to deal with that is
Yes,
obviously breaking something more like that's going on in him. But then for him
I did not see that coming.
I didn't see it. So he tries to murder her. He thinks he's saving her. He's going, I'm gonna save you. I'm gonna see you later. I'm gonna save you from this horrible world. And like in his head, he's doing this out of love. It's not,
he's mentally ill. Yeah, he's mentally ill. It's not, it's because he loves her and covets her so much, and the world is so bad to him. He thinks this is the way to save her, because the voices they're telling him.
Yeah.
So it's very heartbreaking, and it's so traumatic for her that her best friend is doing this to her. And then you're like, oh my God, I don't think that this can be a love interest.
No,
this is too severe. After hearing how long she was in that box.
Yeah, what was it? Almost.
And then and she survived, and she was found, and she became like, she wouldn't talk afterwards. And
do you blame her? Like, I don't
know.
Well, and I'm thinking, because I know he like hit her on the head, I'm like, maybe she has like actual brain damage where she can't talk, because she's saying like, I can't, the words won't come out. So like this whole book, I'm thinking she literally cannot, like, but either blockage mentally or
it could be
brain injury. Like, I'm like, either way. And to find out that her stepfather abuses her, and like that's the thing, so many people would talk mean to her and abuse her because she couldn't say what was happening, and that broke my heart. I was just like, this is horrible. And then him all being godly, and I'm gonna fix you, blah blah. And then like, I love her
demons in you. The sister's the best, because she still cares. And it's her younger sister. Like, she remembers how like good she was to her, and like packs her the makeup, and like talks, like stands up to the stepfather. And if they had even if the mom, I think, knew, but like no one knows that the stepfather like is abusive to her in the dead of night, like beats her and says terrible things to her. The sister obviously knows he's like crazy, and like, but won't put up with it and won't wear his clothes. So I love how protective she is. Like, I wonder if she won't come to the school eventually later at some point or something. I feel like there's going to be more from her at some point.
I hope so. I really do like her. I liked how when they even dropped her off, the parents are basically just drop her off. And then Bryce is there to like show her around, which I love Bryce. I
do too. At first
Bryce.
I was a little cautious, and then I was like, okay, he's actually like
he's a good guy.
That guy. Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Good to have. It's good to have.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love how she threatened him and was like, you make sure she's okay. Like, and he does a lot to like make sure she is okay. And I was a couple of times worried, because they do like a fake dating thing to protect her and to kind of help him out too. And I was like worried that there was going to be an I don't know. I was thinking that maybe there's another motive
Or he could,
behind his side of it.
oh,
But more and more I get to know Bryce, I don't think so. I think he's just a
no.
decent guy. And when you hear Bryce's
Good.
story that he's there because his dad thinks he's gay,
And
like,
I
and
had
that's the
wondered
only
too. I
reason
was
he's
like,
there, like,
mhm,
it's like like, I really feel bad for him too, to just have a parent that's like,
yeah, sends you off because of that. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
so he's a good, and this is probably because he's just a good dude. He's a good guy. I love their friendship, and like, I think that they'll eventually, like, I get that they were fake dating and they wanted them to separate, but I think eventually the guys will see that she needs a friend.
Mm.
And I had wondered, will he be part of, like, who knows? Maybe he'll, because it's reverse harem. You're like, oh, who's going to be
He's
part
gonna,
of it? Is it going to be these main guys, or are they going to throw someone else into the mix that they're going to have to deal with? So even with that, when we meet Seth later on, and I knew he was going to be there,
right,
going into it, you're like, okay, he's going to be in this place for like mentally unstable people.
right. But so when we meet Seth, I love
Mhm.
how the group of guys, so we have Stitches, we have Sinclair, we have Ashes and
Mhm.
Church.
Yes,
So those guys don't really care for Seth because they're like, he's
yeah,
insane.
they call
You
him
know,
Asylum.
yeah, Asylum, Mr. Asylum, which I love that for
Yeah,
Seth. And I had torn feelings because I was sometimes like, is he gonna get, because he
is
even
he going to
beats
be
up,
better?
he hurts that guy for touching her. He's
Yeah,
still,
he still loves her,
he
but
still loves her. He's
and
just,
you wonder, is he better, or is he like, is he gonna save her from that? Like, so you're a little at first questioning like who's what,
you are, and but Seth is so well written, I have to say, because there's so many
he
times where he's
is.
like, he's sitting by himself and he's like, come join us, you can sit with us. Like,
Yeah.
he'll say we when he's just talking about, like, he's so well written on that part. Like, I loved it when I would like read that and I'm like, he's like by himself, but he's like,
With his, yeah,
we,
he's very well, you're right, he's very well written. The backstory, they're all very fleshed out.
Mhm.
Like, they're all, it's not just like one character and then like we split them up and like there's this guy and this, they're all distinctive
Yes.
different characters. And Seth makes a great like villain because like you do, and maybe that's part of his charm, is that like you can get sucked into it. Like, if but then you remember, okay, he did this horrible thing to her, and like even it takes me a minute to be like, oh my gosh, he like traumatized her like so severely, he's so dangerous, but
Right.
like he seems so nice and he wants to relive their friendship, and it's like if he didn't do, like, yeah, no,
But
it's,
you say
yeah,
that, and I would think that, but then I'm like, but here he is going, okay, we have to scare her enough to get her to scream. We have to damage her more to get her to scream. So they end up in this competition. Basically,
yeah,
Church agrees,
but
like,
even
she's a
church, that's the thing, is,
possession.
but that's
Whoever
the
can
thing.
get her to
Mhm.
scream first gets to have her.
But see, and that's where it gets hard, because like even church, even they're like that, you know what I mean, like they're all messed up in the head, and church wants her to scream, and church doesn't isn't like, he wants her to be scared of him, yet he doesn't. He's literally said that to her.
It's
So
they're all
it's
fighting
tough.
this
They're
thing where
demons,
they're
yeah,
demons, yeah, because like they have these things going on with themselves, and so this is who they are and this is their struggle, and they
yeah,
know they want to be good. I feel like they want to be good for her, and they want her, like, even Ashes, he tells her, I want you to, like, let me know if you need me, like,
hmm,
but then he'll still, he knows, he
he's,
even mentioned, I think once, like, even like, but I'll still do what the guys want me to do, like, I'll still play
yeah,
the game, and
yeah,
it's just,
even though he's the nice one,
mhm,
he's still, yeah, he still lets them,
mhm,
he still knows, well, church is going to be church has to have her first. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
so it's,
it's good. There was some really good, like, as she's like, I love how, like, she's drawn to the guys and she's like, why,
mhm,
I don't know why I'm drawn to these guys, they're this and that, but then she's seen beyond what everyone else sees of them, it's like everyone sees them as they're the top guys and they're crazy and they're, they're like
They
intense
have the
and they're
power.
dangerous and they have the power, but she's seeing them, she's getting to know them and seeing them more. Like she's very intuitive, right? When you don't talk, you see a lot more. So
You
she's
hear
very
a lot
intuitive
more.
on them, and she's like understanding, I think, more of them on a deeper level. And so,
especially when they tell their stories to her, because for them she's easy to talk to because she like is a secret keeper, she's silent. I think she's kind of ethereal to them. She's like virginal, she's like almost like a savior to them, but she's also damaged, so it's kind of perfect for them. Where they hold her in this high regard, but they still know, hey, she's gonna have like a panic attack and flip out, and that might happen.
Well, but when it does happen, they're there for her.
They are, like, even from early on, they gave her occurrences, but like they were still there to protect her. Like they've always, that's the thing, like that's what I really loved about this, is like they kind of coveted her even when they've like played harshly with her. But they want her to be, everyone but Sin wants them like for her to be the girl. Like they had drama with a girl in the past, so like they want to share a girl. So there's like reasoning behind it, and it doesn't feel forced. I like that with reverse harem. It doesn't feel like, it just feels natural.
And I understand Sin's, because Sin's the one that had the girlfriend that cheated on him, and then like she was pregnant, and then she aborted the baby and handed him the bill and was like, I'm not gonna have a piece of you, or something like that, like whatever, I forgot what she said,
because his father had like shot him and tried to like kill him, like murder suicide him, and said like, you shouldn't have survived, so I like killed your kid. Like it's the way that she did it, and
the way she did it was
happy about it. They were gonna keep and then mess with church. Well, and I think they said that her meds changed, so my guess is like they said she always had problems. When you're pregnant, your meds have to change because she's mentally ill. You can't take the same meds when you're pregnant. So my guess is like it got worse. Like her disorders got worse, and then all that stuff occurred. Especially because she had a narcissistic personality disorder, which they was kind of mentioned that she did. So
and
that's why, and he's abandonment issues too. So like and his story. That's the thing. Like I know I'm kind of skipping to the end really quick, but like he like goes, you get hints of it throughout of why he is like, and he doesn't want to be like is involved, like invested as the guys. He's kind of against it, but little bits of him talking to Seth, like you just know, like, there's like he's more likely to talk to Seth than the others. He's kind of like making a kind of a friendship with him. He's getting more information. You just know like that's not good. But then when you finally get the explanation to everything, you're like, well, you can see his reasoning behind it. That's the thing. And it's not right by any means, but like you can see how he can rationalize it in his head that this is like the only way to save his friends. And he's like, he says like he's into her, he knows, he's admitting he has feelings, he's scared, he doesn't want to like deal with it again. So he has to do this.
You're right on. Exactly. But he did enjoy, so there's those teaching moments with her, which are very good steamy moments.
They are. Something
about
that is like like a good kink. I don't know.
I don't know what it is, because there's
it's good and dark.
Angel's the directing book, The Order, has teaching moments too in it that are really good.
There's something about I don't.
Maybe not for everybody, but for us.
I like it.
So it's like
not enough.
I liked those, and I liked with him. He's like, I liked how she also gets time with each guy in the book, because she has those like, she owes them, and then like they end up like Ashes wanted a date, but all of them like spend time with her in some way, and she gets
Stitches kind of became a date too. Like he's a little softer than you realize. Like he becomes softer, and his story's so good too. I mean, just the fact that he like, and you keep mentioning the shovel, because I think that really resonated with you, that like She was hit on the head with a shovel. That's part of her trauma. He hung it up because he had a manic episode, which they always bring back because they don't want him to get to that place again, which means I think he's going to eventually get to that place again, maybe next book.
Yeah.
But he was so manic that he dug a whole pool. Like he couldn't stop himself.
I love how
digging, and they
Church
turned
did
it into
that.
a
How he
pool.
dug the hole, and so Church just ended up putting in a pool. Like, I love that.
It's like, yeah, it's practical.
Might as well have a
Go
pool.
church. That's like the epitome of church.
Yes, I
But
love
do
that.
love that, and I do love that they kind of, they come from broken homes. I mean, Ashes was abandoned, like because he has a even though he's sweet, he had this pyro thing from a very early age. He loved his twin sister so much, and then his twin sister, accidentally, died in a fire that he thought he had put out, and his parents like couldn't stand to look at him. They said they could come back, so he's in foster care. Stitches, was was adopted by Church's father, kind of like to be a friend for him, because like Church was so wild or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that Church's father might come into play, because they're kind of alluding that he runs the school more. He's like on the board, and then he's just as messed up as Church.
His grandfather like founded the school.
Yeah. And then Church's father though, like is involved, and there's so much corruption at that school, and Church has so much power. I wonder, because like we haven't even gotten into the fact that there's like the principal,
the headmaster,
abusing her under the, like he would have already, but he's worse under the orders of his friend, her stepfather, to like beat the demons out of her, so
because she can't tell. And I love how the guys are kind of like
up.
What's going on. They notice she was like, her.
They know, and they know that he like slaps wrists, so they're thinking, oh, maybe that's happening. We can't let that happen, but like they don't know. Like I think when they figure out the severity of it.
Oh yeah, I want them to kill him.
Oh, I can't wait for them to figure out. I kept wishing throughout the book that they would catch him or see the bruises on her.
Yes, because there was one point she leaves the office and runs into one of them, and they're like, "Are you okay?" And of course, she can't say anything. And I was like, "Figure it out, because I want Ashes to set the office on fire, and I want Stitches to like gut the guy or whatever."
Yeah,
like
they don't like him already. They know there's something they don't like him.
Yeah.
And I think Bryce even had warnings like, oh, you don't want to go to his office. Like the first time they met, they're like, you don't want to. So like,
you're lucky he's not here right now. Yeah.
Like they know there's something up with him, but they don't know that she has all these meetings with him, because again, she can't say, I have to go meet with him like every week.
Yeah.
And that's another big reason she's with them, is they were offering protection. So before she even started falling for them, I liked this about her. She was thinking logically. She's like, okay, my sister said find like the biggest badass and befriend them. So she's like, okay, these are the biggest guys around. Because that's how I would think. I would think, okay, you know what? That's it makes logical sense that I would totally, I if I was kidnapped, I would like give into I would placate the person. Like I thought about these scenarios.
Well, we read.
We read.
So we have all these scenarios in our heads.
Yeah. So you like placate them, like even if they're like bad and not like hot. You like placate them first. So she's like, okay, this is a better deal. I'm already suffering, might as well. And my big Seth is here, who is like her biggest villain in her story.
Yeah. So
it makes sense. So then I think she's coming around to the idea, and then she also starts falling for them because she's listening to them. So there's like there's the logical side, which is saying, okay, they make sense logically, and then the side that's like connecting with them. And I think that helps her to allow herself to connect with them, because she's already thinking, okay, I gotta protect myself. So I like that she's logical like that, because so many books the characters aren't like, I'm like, dude, like just give in. Save yourself.
Right.
Like I like the logic. I do.
I know. Yeah. And I like what I like is her feelings for them. Like I like how she, like again, the shovel with Stitches, when he saw her response to seeing the shovel and he got rid of it and then comfort her. I like how like Church sneaks into her room at night
Yeah.
and
Oh
watches her
yeah.
sleep,
Mm-hmm.
I
Like
like,
has the nightgown for her.
I'm like, but
It's a little, but it's his thing. It's like
it's his
it's part of
thing.
who he is. He like
Yeah.
goes in the woods and and we're we're not. I don't think either of us are for that kind of thing. But there's
No.
something about like his crazy where he has to go like hunt
But
and
she's
like
like, okay, I'll let you chase me. And she liked
yeah,
it. She liked
she
the
did.
fun of it. It was fun. Like, okay, it was thrilling and,
Hmm.
stuff. And then they got to
Especially
like
for
make out a
someone,
little bit afterwards. And it
yeah.
worked for them.
And I think especially for somebody who was living a life so closed off for how many years, like she was, not talking to anyone in school, she was being abused at home. I think this is exciting for her to get to explore these things. And that's why it's like it's not non-con, it's definitely like it's definitely dubious. Like it's definitely dubious consent, but she likes it. I think they're pushing her the right amount that
Hmm.
she needs to be
Hmm.
pushed,
Hmm.
because otherwise she would live in this bubble. Like before this she wasn't communicating at all, and now she'll communicate with ashes on the palm. She'll give little squeezes. She gave
Yeah.
Bryce a hug.
Yeah.
These are huge steps for
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
who would, like, her sister would FaceTime her and she would just like look at her even though
Yeah.
her sister knows she's in there.
Yeah.
So she responds but doesn't, like, and it made me wonder, like, schoolwork. I'm like, well, is she like writing essays? Like, I'm like, how is she, like, is she conveying, like, is she like analyzing Shakespeare? Like, I think she said like her teachers weren't understanding and they like would call on her, and we saw that nun call on her, and then Sin
So,
actually like protect her, which I
yeah.
loved that Sin
Sin
did
did
that.
that. Yeah. And then he was all like an a-hole afterwards, put out because he did that. He's like, oh, I did that. I'm like, oh my gosh, Sin. Uh,
Yes.
uh
Yeah.
yeah.
And then the way he talks to the nurses, he's like, unless you're gonna put out to the nurse, to like the therapist.
Yeah. I loved I see there's so many parts. It's just
I
it was
know.
just so good. And so okay,
It
can we talk
was.
about the ending now?
Yes. Yes.
So they have this bet who's gonna get her to scream, and Church keeps on telling her, like scream my name and I'll help you, rescue you,
Yeah.
protect you. And so basically Sin comes up with this deal with Seth because Seth's in
Mhm.
this, you know, what is it, a deal, a competition,
Yeah.
agreement?
Like
I don't,
there's like a claim thing. And
yeah.
I think that they wouldn't have gone for this now. I think this was the beginning of the year before they really knew her. They were infatuated with her, but like, I think that they kind of regret this deal.
Yeah.
And Sin even
Oh, they're
says, like,
going
oh,
to.
Sin says, we're gonna, yeah, right. Sin says, like, Church will respect the deal because he has these codes.
Yeah.
Even with like share, like with when he had to share with Ashes, like he didn't want to give her up, but he had to. Like he's like,
Hmm.
those are the rules, even though he
Hmm.
hates them. So he has this strict like rule thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So basically, okay, so she ends up sleeping with Church, which
mhm.
she was fine with it for the most part.
Yeah, they had
Yeah.
like eased her into it with a couple of
Yeah.
steamy
But hey,
scenes.
it worked. It
They
worked.
were good steamy scenes though too.
um,
They were good. I liked
yeah.
them.
And then Sin has this deal with Seth that he's gonna get them alone and locked up because because she was locked in a toolbox for a week. She doesn't like closed in places in the dark. So he gets Seth and her. He gets her and he says goodbye. Sin totally says goodbye to her basically outside of the mausoleum, right? And then
Tells him the whole story and why he's doing it, and he says like he, like, in his head he feels this connection with her, and I think
Mhm.
even says it to her, like, I know I'm gonna fall for you and I can't do that again.
Yeah.
I
It
gotta
just
save you.
this was such a hard part to read for me because I was
Yeah.
like, don't do it. You don't want to do it, and you know what's coming. You know what's coming, and then he does it. And I
And
didn't
then
realize they were putting them
mhm,
in the tomb, like in
yeah,
the thing,
like closed off.
closed off.
And then
Like
he
this is
gets
like,
Seth gets in there with her, and so they're like both trapped. And here's the thing though, like, Sin, I think, was starting to put it together. He would watch them. I think he was starting to put together, they know her trauma, they know that, like, what
they
she'd been through, they
Googled.
looked her up.
Yeah.
So I think he was starting to put together Seth but didn't want to believe it, and then it's Seth basically affirms it. And
Mhm.
even with that knowledge, you think, is he gonna back out? Like, I'm hoping he backs out, but then Seth like hits him over the head with a shovel, like, and like, my hope was that he was going to like back out, at least back out, but then like maybe be overpowered by Seth or something. And then no, he still goes through with it.
He
And I was
still
like,
goes through with
no.
it. And that was the really upsetting betrayal part of it, that
He knew the full.
he knew the full thing. And so then she wakes up because they, make her pass
Yeah.
out and
At least he gave her. I
drugs.
was like, well, at least he like
Yeah,
did
and he
that. I
tells
think
her,
she
"You're gonna
couldn't
want
bear.
this."
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like so mad
Oh,
at him.
I
And then
know.
she wakes
But
up and
it's been
Seth's in
so
there
long.
with her worst nightmare. And then he's like, he was touching her neck or arm or something. He wasn't like full on like molesting her yet.
No,
But
no.
then she remembered what church said about, yell for me or say my name and I'll protect you or something like that. And then she yells church. And
So the question is, what does that mean? Is like if she's yelling his name, like who made her scream? Like did Seth make
so
her
that's
scream? But she's
technically
screaming
Seth
for
made her
church.
scream, but I think there
But
could be a loop because Sin technically is the
loophole.
one that got her in the position to scream
And she's screaming for
for
church. She's
church.
not screaming because of Seth. She's screaming help to
For
church.
church.
So I think you're right. I think there's like, I
There's a
think,
loophole.
and I think in church's code, I think he'll be able to manipulate that in his code because it's not a binding deal. It's just like, what can you live with?
Right.
Someone even said we should just kill Seth or whatever, asylum.
Well,
So yeah.
I think you're right. I think church, I don't know. I think church, because who knows how long they were in there. I think church might be looking for her. And
What
he
if
goes
church
out hunting
hears
in that
it?
area.
Oh,
What if
I
he
hope.
hears her and
I
he
hope.
actually like, or Sin actually grows a conscience and like rescues, comes back. But I think church is going to hear her. And I
Yeah.
think, okay, this is what I'm hoping for. Church hears her,
Yeah.
comes and
Me
rescues
too.
her. And then he is smart enough to be like, once he finds out that Sin, because he's going to have to give her to Seth, right? Because he's like, fine, you win because she's screaming. But he's going to know, well, he's going to feel it because she screamed his name. And that's what he's wanted all along. He wants her to say his name. So I think he's going to find out what Sin does. Sin's going to get beat up horribly
Oh
by
yeah.
all the guys. And then he's going to be like, wait, you caused her to scream. He's the cause, because that's the whole deal, is whoever gets her to scream. Well, it's Sin who gets her to scream. So
Yeah,
technically
he put
those
the
guys.
lid on top.
Yeah.
So
So
I
I
think
think
he's
church
got
is going to figure
two.
it
Yeah.
out. And then at some point now, if Sin's going to be part of this group, he's got some major, I don't know
Making
how
up
he's
to
going to
do.
redeem himself, but he's
I
going
mean,
to have
unless
to.
he's waiting outside and regrets it and then like opens it. But again, I think you're right. I don't think that's going to happen. I
And
really
then
hope that it's church I really hope church hears his name. Like I need that to happen. I need church
I want
to
him to
hear that.
hear her scream his name, as sad as it is that she's screaming for him, but he needs to hear that for him. But I it killed me. That ending it was so good. And now
There's
I'm like,
also
is she gonna talk though after that? Or is she gonna completely shut down again?
That's a great question. Like, what if she stops communicating altogether and is just like
And like doesn't
so
trust any of them and wants to get away
scarred?
from all of them? Or is she
Yeah.
gonna actually listen? Maybe like Ashes will be like, I didn't know. Like all of them could be like, we didn't know. Maybe
I feel like
maybe she'll see what they do to Sinclair and she'll be
yeah.
like, okay, like they wouldn't do that to someone if they were happy with them. I don't know.
I don't think that she like even okay, say that they know that she screamed for Seth. They don't know it's church or they don't know the circumstances or because the thing is she can't tell them that it was Sin who did it. I mean, I think that they'll come to that conclusion because Sin had the occurrence with her and Sin he was acting weird. So I'm hoping they'll come to that conclusion. Like, can you imagine like if they didn't
Well, but see, they're in there too because
completely?
Seth is like, we're gonna end together, right? Or is the deal for
Yeah.
Sin to come and get them out later?
I think Sin thinks he's gonna come and get. He says like if she survives this, but it sounds like he's gonna come back and like let them out. I don't think he's trying to murder them. He just wants to scream. Maybe he's waiting outside listening for the scream.
But I just feel
which
like
just
Seth.
happened.
I thought Seth said.
I feel like I'm not church. I feel like at least Stitches and Ashes will not abide by the rules. I think that they'll like do another vote and they'll say F the rules And like at least Ash is like, I'm not, and Stitch just said, I'm never giving her up, I'm never breaking a promise to you. Like he said that, and I believe it. Like I don't think that they will let her go. Like even if like Church is like, oh, if we have to let her go, he's screaming, I don't think they will.
I don't,
I have
yeah,
to
I think
believe
they're
they
gonna have
won't.
to fight with him about it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think Seth's gonna lie, manipulate it, because
Yeah.
Seth wants her, but obviously, but you
What
know,
if
like I think, yeah, it's
mhm.
I don't
What
know.
if we're
I'm so
wrong?
excited for this book, and
What if
so
he gets what if Seth gets murdered at the very beginning, right? And we're just so wrong. We're like, what? But then like the villains end up being like Church's dad and like the headmaster and her stepfather. Because okay, there's 4 books, right? So like Seth can only be the villain for so long. I
right.
think that there's a lot of other things at play here for all of them, like with them being in
Well,
this
what if
place.
Seth doesn't get murdered, but then he starts working with the other villains to get the guys?
Yes, like they beat him up, but he comes back later. Like there's so many paths that this could
Yes.
take, especially when you think, okay, there's 4 books.
Yeah.
So like that's
And
a
let's,
journey.
yeah, I'm dying. So I've been following someone on the Facebook group
Posted the
that they have the arc for Ashes.
it's not the arc though. I know I
Oh,
saw
it's
that
the
too,
beta.
but it's yeah, it's like it's an
Oh,
alpha. So because
oh, it's
I
an
saw it on
alpha.
yes.
That's even
So
worse.
I know. I think because we're so used to like alpha and beta reading through Google Docs, I think that hers would be just being sent because you can send any document to
Mine
the
gets sent
Kindle.
just PDF'd.
Bec-
Yeah,
I knew it was a little suspect. At first, I got excited, and then I saw how many books by that author she had. She had
she
like
has a lot.
4
Yeah,
that
yeah.
she's been working on, and I was like, "There's no way that she has the full
Okay.
Ashes."
I got so excited. I was like, yes, that means it's coming
And
soon.
Bolton, she
Yeah,
had too many. She had too
yeah.
many. And then finally someone, I think the author commented, "Oh, they're alphas."
Okay.
Because like I think I was like this is going to get her into like this is going to make people think that like Ashes is ready. So I don't think she thought that
Yeah.
when she posted.
Okay. Well, I
So
thought
yeah.
that.
I know. And
I
someone's
was
like,
so
"When
excited.
well, they said they're saying late summer, early fall,
Yes.
which
Yes.
could be at first I thought August, and I'm like, oh, that's probably September because September's like the in between month. But that's
Yeah.
not we're in June. Like
It's
it's
not too
almost
bad. It's not too
July.
bad. So, like, and
Yeah.
anyone who read the beginning, like, so this is my warning with Kindle. Like, if it's a Kindle Unlimited book, when I open it up on my Kindle, it
Oh.
takes me to the very first chapter. It skips the table of contents, it skips the title page, it skips the dedication. So, if there is a note from the author or a foreword, it will skip
Or
that.
triggers.
So
Hmm.
I always go backwards to see if there is a note from the author. Like this one talks about like the guys and their issues and how like everyone's different, but it also says that yes, right now it's saying that Ashes comes out like next year in 2023, but
Hmm.
she just does it fall out, and then when it's ready, she
Moves it up.
moves it. So she's like, it will be sooner than a year out. Because originally I saw this being posted, the book posted about the same time Megan told me I need to read it. And I was going to read it. And I'm like, well, I don't want to wait that long for the next book. So I was like, I'll wait. And then Megan's like, no, you really have to read it. I want to do it for the show. So I'm like, fine, I'll read it, like pull my teeth.
And I
And
knew that you were gonna love it. I just knew it.
I love it. And I'm so happy that I have now clued in to go on my Kindle app or on my Kindle and make sure that there's no notes,
Yes.
because those notes help so much on trigger warnings. I don't really have any, but it just helps like getting you in the right mindset for the book, but also to know that, hey, the wait's not that long.
Exactly. And I feel bad because that author has that problem a lot. I've seen reviews will say, "Oh, it's a," and she'll even post like in her group all the time, like it says it's a year out, but I'll move it up. Like
Mhm.
you don't have to wait that long. I
Yeah.
think that this ended up doing so well. I saw it recommended in so many places. I think it resonated with so many people because it's just like a different dark reverse harem. It's the reverse harem asylum that we all needed.
It has
Uh,
everything in it because it has a
creative.
little bit, it has like the bulliness from like a little bit because of the
Yeah.
games they play with her. It has the steam, it has the
The
RH part,
ownership, the protectiveness,
it
the
has
me
the darkness.
does a great job with the mental health issues,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
I can't get over how well that she wrote those, the mental health issues, in my opinion. And in the foreword, she said that she has some stuff, and everyone's mental health is different, like, not to judge it, like, based on this, but this is like her experience and how she writes it. And I thought she did a great job with it, especially the OCD. I can't get over how well she did OCD. It's not cleaning, it's counting,
Yeah.
for that character. So, but I think like, just reading that, I think the foreword's important, because that, like, is, she's saying, like, I understand that this isn't going to portray everyone's disorder. Like, there might be a disorder you have, and it's not portrayed the way that you have it.
Right.
Even though I
Well, it
think she did
just,
a great
I think it
job
shows
of
just how
describing depression and mania and
mhm,
all of that.
it is because everyone's an individual. So everyone's
Hmm.
so different, and it shows that,
Yeah.
like it's not just this like pretty box that you
Hmm.
fit in. It's this blob. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like so it's like it's just it's very well done. Yeah. It's
And
so good. And
yeah,
I'm so happy Megan finally read it. And so we finished
I
it.
know. I read
I
it
did
first,
not
but I
finish
didn't
it.
finish it first. I was so close. I was so close to the ending. I was like 80% in, and I think what happened was is in
Betas.
my I think well,
Oh,
yeah, I think I
yeah. Arc.
stopped and I had to be in there, and I was scared of the ending. I know I was scared of the ending, and then in my head I tricked myself into thinking that I had finished. Sometimes I will though wait, if, like, for the next book to read the complete ending, if I'm too scared. Like I'm like, okay, there's 10%
Do you
left.
do that? I do that when I'm at like 70%. I'm like, oh no, it's
Yeah.
coming.
And it's like, I'll just
Something's
wait for
gonna
the
come
next book.
soon.
If it scares me too much, I will. I'll be like, oh, okay, you know what? The next book's not that far away. I'm just gonna wait to read this ending until the next book. And then sometimes you can't because of spoilers, and sometimes you like. I'm glad I finished it. I'm glad that I went back and I read the ending, because the ending was very good, and I felt better after talking to Sarah. Like, I could handle the ending, and I could. Like, I was
Okay.
prepared for it.
It's not horrible.
It's
You just there's
not
so much. I mean, what's
because
gonna
it's
happen next?
Finn.
It just
Yes,
it's
I was okay with this end. I think the ending made it perfect. I really do. So
I agree.
yeah, I like that. It's not like church and them turned on her or anything. It was sin, and yeah. So,
I
and
agree.
again, what I love about this book is, like, it's in the first book, like, so many, there's like bully romances where, like, you have to, and it's not until the second book where they even start having a relationship or being on good terms. There are, they were protecting. Sin was mad that they were doting on her. Like, there always were feelings for her early on. So it's not like you have to get through a whole book and get to book two before you get to the good stuff.
Yeah.
I love it when it's the whole book is just so well, it's just
Yeah.
so well
It's so
done.
well done. I know.
So yes,
I love it. I love it
I
so much.
know. I'm so excited.
It makes it hard. So like hair the book wise.
I'm gonna say right now, I'm waiting on the Duke's arc, and I think that's gonna be the perfect hair of the book for this, because it's like the perfect dark. I think
Yeah.
they are similar but different.
Compliment.
Like they are like, I will say, like, if you like the Royal series, the Duke series, you will like Church and vice versa,
Mhm.
but they're not copies of each other. They're
Mhm.
different from each other. They both, I think, kind of take the dark genre, and like people are going to start, like, I think people have kind of copied off of Dukes and Lords, to be honest with you. And I think people are going to start doing that with Church.
Yeah.
I think that that's going to be the next trend, is Asylum. I mean, there were some Asylum before this, but I think the way that they did it, that's going to be the next trend.
Yeah. I
Just
agree.
like the Lords became a trend.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Trendsetter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I went
definitely.
super sweet.
Opposite.
Yeah. I always go sweet when I need to. I did Blindside. Blindside by
Okay.
Candy Steiner. It's a football college romance, fake
Oh.
relationship, steamy. Like it's another one where she's like, it's like teach me moments.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's something about this.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to like it has a crush on somebody. He has an ex that he's trying to win back and make jealous because that's how he's like, I have to make her jealous to want me. And
Of
so like
course.
they're like, let's work together. And then, they find out that they're actually like what a relationship should be. I loved it. It was good.
Aw,
So
that's cute.
yeah, it was a good one to bring me back, I guess.
Yeah.
Even though I'm ready to get back into the dark.
Right. Well, for me, it's weird because like I had read Church a while back, didn't finish it completely. It was, had a little bit of the end left, and now I just read the end for the episode. So that's why I'm like, okay, I'm waiting on like 3 arcs. So I'm like, that's gonna be what's next. I think after I had read Church, I had arcs. I jumped into that. So
Those arcs. Be careful of what you sign up
that's the
for. It
thing.
takes up so much time.
Well, and that's the thing with Church. Like, if some people do stop. I've heard of people doing that with Zodiac Academy. Like, if you do stop at like 10%, it's still a full good book.
Yeah.
And then you can just like jump into it without the cliffhanger.
Well, we're going to talk about that soon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well.
Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the book. We did.
And yes.
And we would love to talk about it some more. And we'll see you next time on the Book Over.
Yes, come to the Book Over Facebook group and come chat with us about it. Let's hear your theories and predictions for Ashes.
Yeah.
Hopefully a lot of ashes.
Yeah.
All right.
All right,
Bye,
everyone.
Bye. Bye.